Hello guys and welcome back to another video. So today is a video that has been long coming. I've been meaning to make this video for over a year now and everyone keeps asking for it, so it's happening. This is what to know before moving to Dubai, part 2. Now I've been meaning to make this video for a while, so I'm going to jump straight into it. There's a timeline along the bottom that tells you what we're going to talk about. And as always, if you've got anything else, drop a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you guys. I've moved inside because it's so hot outside at the moment. So to start with, I thought I'd talk about the main thing you're going to want to know about, which is getting a place to live. There's a couple of options here. It's normally choosing between an apartment or a villa, which are both perfectly good options. As any city or country you'd move to, it really depends on your location. So we're quite far out of the way in a place called Jumeirah Village Circle, so our apartment's rent is quite a lot less than it would be if we were, say, somewhere like Marina, which is a bit more in the heart of everything that's going on. But for us, being out of the way and having a nice spacious apartment like this is very nice. So where to look for apartments or a villa? The best places I would suggest looking is propertyfinder.ae or a place called Dubizzle. Dubizzle is kind of like eBay for Dubai and the whole of the UAE. But they also have apartments and villas and it's a great place to see them. So one big thing when looking at these places online is the pictures are very misleading. Now, what you see might not always be what you get. So for us, when we started looking at this building, we saw pictures of this amazing spacious apartment, which we fell in love with, but the price was actually for a smaller apartment, which is down the hall. So we ended up increasing our budget a little bit to be able to afford this big corner unit. Unlike in the UK, the estate agents here aren't always as helpful as you would like. So you have to contact quite a few people and do quite a lot of research on your own. What you can see is a couple of different price points of a one-bed apartment across this map from propertyfinder.ae. For example, here's one in Marina, here's one in JVC, here's one in downtown. As you can see, the further out you go from the center of where everything's happening, the prices begin to drop. Another option is a house share. If you're someone on your own, this is a great option. You can normally find these for around 4,000 to 5,000 dirhams a month, including all of your bills being covered, and you get your own private room and then shared community spaces like a living room, kitchen, etc. And these are normally in very good locations like JBR, or somewhere in Marina. The best place to look for these is probably a Facebook group of the certain type of people that you're looking for, whether that's like Westerners or younger people. You can sort of find your preference. Also, they are on Dubizzle. Now, every property you find, unless you're renting direct from the owner, you normally have the agent involved and they take a 5% fee of the cost of the apartment. So for example, if your apartment cost 50,000 dirham, they would charge you 2,500 dirham for their fee of finding and putting you in contact with the owner of the building. The agent also sorts out your Ajari contract, which I'm not the best person to explain, but it's like saying that you own the apartment for the time that you're in there. Now, with every apartment or villa, there also comes the bills like in any other country. Here in Dubai, they're broken into sort of the companies that provide those services. For example, you have DEWA, which is the Dubai Electric and Water Authority. So that's where we get our electric and water from. You have your internet service provider, which could either be Do or Etisalat, or there is some other ones, but normally that comes along with your building. You don't really choose what internet service provider you go with. You're just sort of allocated it due to the one that supplies your building. But they're all on the same price brackets and they're all very, very similar. And there's also some other bills like your gas and your AC. I'm going to give you an example of our one-bed apartment in JVC, which is about 1,000 square foot. Our internet bill from Do every month is 300 dirham. Then our DEWA bill is normally between 300 and 400. Then our gas is very cheap. We have a base charge of 80 dirham and then anything we spend above that, so it's normally around 100 to 120 dirham. Finally, Empower, which provides AC, is quite a big difference, which is between 250 and 850 dirham a month. Now, normally in the summer you use your AC a lot more, so it's a lot more money, and then in the winter you don't really have it on, so it's fine. Along with all these bills comes a deposit which you pay at the beginning and you get back once you terminate your contract. So for us it cost us 3,000 dirhams for an apartment deposit, there's another 3,000 dirhams for an Empower deposit, and around 2,000 dirhams on all the other deposits for like gas and those sort of things. So overall we've got a lot of money tied up in deposits, but it has to be done. Oh, didn't see you there. So the next bit I thought I'd talk a little bit about furniture and where you can buy it from. So right now I'm in IKEA in Festival City, tripping over the carpet. There's 2 IKEAs in Dubai and then there's one in Abu Dhabi as well. As you can see, it's a similar layout to England, where there's sort of like these showroom type deals. Everything seems to be quite similarly priced to England, and you can't really go wrong with some IKEA Swedish furniture. There's a couple of other options like Pan Emirates, which are quite good and quite affordable. There's also Jysk, which I believe is a Swedish company. It's slightly higher quality than IKEA and slightly more pricey. If you're looking for high end, probably Marina Home and Crate and Barrel. They're very expensive but very nice. It's almost like designer furniture stuff. Also, Dubai is very transient, so people come and go all the time. So if you don't mind sort of second-hand furniture, which is basically brand new, I check out Dubizzle or some of the Facebook marketplaces. The stuff is basically brand new because people come for a couple months and then leave, and you can get stuff, especially from IKEA, really cheap. Basically all my stuff is from Facebook marketplace or Dubizzle. Just go and check it before you buy it, and then you'll be good to go. Also, a quick note on that, if you type in the exact name of the IKEA product, normally there's a couple on Dubizzle that people are selling. Just make sure you check it before you buy it. Also, you can check out the IKEA website, ikea.ae, and you'll see all the products and all the prices for stuff specifically in Dubai. And you can even check if it's in stock. So before you come, you can plan your whole house. All the websites I mentioned, I'll leave a link in the description for. And also, on a quick side note, IKEA food in Dubai is amazing and really cheap. So get yourself some food. It's not like the horrible stuff in England. Okay, that's enough about furniture. Right, let's talk about cars. So, as you guys might have seen in one of my other videos, I bought a Jeep Wrangler, which is one of my dream cars. You can check out that video up here and in the description. At the moment, I've got a rental. Unfortunately, my Jeep didn't make it and I've had to sell it, but because I bought it so cheap and also sold it, it worked out cheaper to do that than actually renting a car. I originally bought my Jeep for 18,000 dirham and I eventually sold it for 10,000 dirham. So the cost was 8,000 dirham and it lasted me about 6 months. So overall it was about 1,200 dirham off the top of my head per month. As right now I'm renting this Mitsubishi ASX from a company called Diamond Lease for 1,700 dirham a month. It's pros and cons for everyone. You've got to weigh up what you want to do, but at the moment renting makes more sense for me. Now if you want to rent, I would suggest looking at Diamond Lease, Dollar. These guys do long-term contracts, so if you buy in for a whole year, you'll get a lot better of a deal, as with any contract. But also, in general, cars here are much cheaper than the UK. Even your high-end cars like a Porsche or an Aston Martin, considerably cheaper here, probably about 20-30%. Because of the transient population of people coming and going, people are always selling cars. Same way I got my Jeep so cheap, you can get any sort of high-end spec car for much cheaper. So it's definitely worth considering buying out here as well. If you're looking at buying, there's Emirates Auction, which has very cheap cars, but you don't know their condition. Or you can go somewhere like Dubizzle. Also, you have to have a nice car out in Dubai because anywhere you want to get a picture of. This car doesn't even look that good. But putting it somewhere like this, you just want to take pictures of it. The cost of fuel. Now also when we're talking about cars, the cost of fuel out here is amazing. To fill up this car, it cost me 100 dirham, £20, and it lasts me like 2 weeks almost. Petrol is about 5 times cheaper here than it is in the UK. Where you pay about £1.20 in the UK, you're looking at about 20p per litre here. So it's very good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about salary. Now, salaries in the UAE are normally advertised as a per month fee instead of a yearly pay packet that you're used to in the UK. Salaries are broken down into your basic salary, your transport cost, and your accommodation cost. Now, these might not be relative to how much you spend on those things, but that's just how they break it down when you're given a contract. There may also be other allowances like your mobile phone. All these things you normally sort out on your own unless you're given like a company accommodation or a company phone or company card or something. Now also, when taking a full-time job out here, you don't actually get any sort of pension. So if you're here for a long time and you stay with one job in a permanent role for many years, you get something called gratuity. I don't know if this is common elsewhere, but in England I've never heard of it. So gratuity is basically for every year you work, you get 20 days worth of your salary back after that year, once leaving the company. So for example, say you worked for a company for 3 years and then you left, you'd get about 60 days worth of your salary as a way of you leaving the company. But if you want more information, Google it. There's some really good articles. I'll leave one in the description, which is actually a gratuity calculator. So you can work out, say you stay with a company for 5 years, this is how much money they would owe you at the end of it. Also, the more years you work with a company, the more gratuity you get, and I think that's calculated by adding on days. Salaries here in general seem to be a bit higher than the UK, but also there's the cost of living and other factors you have to come into it, so everyone's situation is completely personal. But I would say, while talking about the salaries, if you're a lot younger, there is a lot more opportunities here to grow and fast track your career, should you be career orientated and want to move forward in that way. Although the cost of living can be quite high here, as with any city, there is also a lot of ways to save money. One of the best things we've found is the Entertainer. It's an app which you download, you pay for a year, and then you get loads of discounts. Normally it's buy one get one free, but there's also package deals and lots of other things. So I went to Prime 68, which is the best steak restaurant in Dubai. That's another tip for you. And it's buy one get one free on a steak. So where it would normally be 400 dirham, which is about £80, it was £80, 400 dirham, for 2 people, which makes everything a lot more affordable. So the Entertainer, definitely worth downloading because you get loads of discounts. So once you become a full-time resident here, you'll get an Emirates ID, which also in itself opens up a lot of discounts. For example, Aquaventure, they have a special price just for residents. There's also discounts for what's called a face card, which I think is normally if you're a pilot or an air hostess or those sort of professions, where you get a specific card which gives you discounts in lots of bars and things like that. There's also groups that people have made. So for example, there's also one called the Invite Said Casual, which is a girls only group, which I know from one of my friends, which also opens up loads of discounts. The best piece of advice for getting these discounts is probably join loads of Facebook groups, follow all the shops you like on Instagram because they always bring up the offers. For example, this weekend there's a 3-day mega sale happening across Dubai, so I just went to the mall and picked up a pair of shoes for half price. So yeah, you'll see this stuff advertised everywhere, but just follow things on social media and you'll get all the information there. Let's talk a little bit about tax. Now, as you've probably heard, and one of the reasons a lot of businesses are over here is because there is no tax in Dubai. But that doesn't mean you don't end up paying to live in this country through other means. Let me explain. For example, when you move into an apartment, you end up paying what's called municipality fees. This also happens with a lot of other places. Whether you're buying a car or doing something that relates to the government, you'll always get charged some sort of governmental fee. But this is perfectly fine. It just means you end up sort of paying a tax in a tax-free country. Now, it's never a huge amount, but it does always add up. When you're buying a car or renting an apartment, you end up basically holding open your wallet for the government. It makes sense because it's government employees doing these sorts of jobs and they have to get paid and the country needs to function, blah, 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 blah. But just be aware, there's loads of hidden fees that you end up paying and you just get on with it because there's no tax, which is great. It's a great place to set up your business or, like me, work out here and not be taxed. So let's talk a little bit about food. Now, as the same as everywhere, there's expensive places and there's cheap places. This goes for restaurants and supermarkets. There's loads of different supermarkets, so I'll quickly run you through them, sort of from what I would say is like the more cheaper end to the expensive end. So we've got Carrefour, which I believe is a French brand, but they're over here and it's everywhere. That's sort of the standard one, kind of comparable to like Asda or Tesco's in the UK. Then there's Lulu. Again, similar to Carrefour, on the cheaper end of things. Then there's Union Co-op, which I don't really see many of. I think they're in some of the other Emirates a lot more. That's a fairly cheap one as well. Then there's Almaya and Choitrums. They're getting up to the more expensive mid-range ones. Choitrums actually sell Tesco's products, so if you're looking for Tesco's products, you can go to Choitrums. Then there's Kibsons that do home delivery, a lot of organic stuff, good quality food, and it's a little bit more pricey, but they also sell Sainsbury's stuff, which obviously has a bit of a markup because it's had to get on a flight over here. Then you've got Spinneys, which is very similar to Waitrose, which is a bit more high-end, high price point. And then you actually have Waitrose out here. It's becoming a lot more popular and there's a lot more of them starting to pop up. There's actually a Waitrose just over there. literally right there. And this is my balcony here. Pricing on stuff, pretty comparable, unless you're having products that are imported, then there's quite a bit of a markup. So for example, if I did a big food shop, which would last me 1 or 2 weeks, from Carrefour may cost me around 300 to 400 dirhams, whereas if I get it from Waitrose, it's more like 500 to 600 dirhams. That's just what I spend. Obviously everyone spends different amounts on food and what they get, but that's what I generally do. I'll show you an example of a receipt. I just did a little spinny shop, so this is some prices of things. Toiletries seem to cost a little bit more here, so if you're planning on coming out, bring some with you. Also, in terms of food shops, there's also small little local supermarkets all around the place. You can also get an app called InstaShop and Now they both deliver within an hour anything you want from local grocery stores. That's a good one to know. InstaShop's also useful because it has pharmacies on it and other shops that you wouldn't normally get deliveries from, and to get it within an hour is pretty impressive. You've also got your standard things like Deliveroo, you've got Talabat out here, and you've also got Kareem. My favourite is Deliveroo because you can track the drivers the whole way. They do charge about 7 dirhams delivery, but it just seems to be the best service for me. Then in terms of restaurants, you've got everything from small little local cuisine where you can get a meal for 20 dirham, all the way up to high-end fine food restaurants at Atlantis where you could spend 600 dirham on one meal. So it just depends what you're looking for really, and it's the same as any country. You can go high-end, low-end, and you just got to find those hidden gems. Wow, I haven't done this walking business with the camera for a while. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about bringing your pets to Dubai or getting your pets from Dubai back home to England. Now, I'm definitely not an expert. I had a rabbit here. I bought the rabbit here for 75 dirham, £15. No clue how much a rabbit costs. Probably best to adopt one. But anyway, we move on. Now, shipping costs of pets. I have heard some horror stories about this, ranging all the way from 10,000 dirham to 25,000 dirham. By the time you contact the airline, you get special permission, you get a pet passport, and all the forms and paperwork that come along with it. It seems like a very costly procedure, and they have to have certain vaccinations and other things like that. I'm not an expert, which I keep saying, but just be prepared that moving your pet over here can be very costly. One specific example that comes to mind is my friend moved a tortoise from England to Dubai, and you keep pouring money into it, and in the end it was over 20,000 dirham, over £4,000 to get a little tortoise here. A separate friend had adopted 2 dogs here in Dubai and wanted to get them back to England, and that ended up costing about 15,000 dirham as well. I think you can do it with a standard airline like Emirates. So yeah, that's about as much as I know about pets. Okay, so while I'm walking around, let's have a little chat about a night out. So, taxis here, really cheap. So much cheaper than London. An average trip for me going from JVC or Sports City all the way into Marina is probably around 30 dirham, £6. Very good. 20-minute trip, £6. Can't complain. Taxis, cheap, get a taxi. Alcohol out here is very expensive. Being a Muslim country, it's still frowned upon a little bit, so bars aren't always in the open, although Dubai is getting much, much better at it. The average beer is probably about 40 to 50 dirham, which is about 8 to 10 pounds. Sounds a lot, but it's just one of those things you have to get used to. So a night out can cost a lot of money. There's always deals. There's a lot of places, for example, off the top of my head, there's a place called Hideout in Marina. They do very cheap deals. It's kind of like a Wetherspoons inside and cheap. You don't have Wetherspoons here. Please, please, if anyone from Wetherspoons is watching, get one in Dubai. There's endless bars and endless brunches. Brunch is a huge thing out here. Pretty much every Friday, you go to a brunch. Now, the idea of a brunch, all you can eat, all you can drink, and it's normally priced anywhere between 200 dirham all the way up to 500 dirham. You can get offers on where you can get 2 for 1, such as the entertainer. One of my favourite brunches, which I don't think is running at the moment due to Corona, is Saffron at Atlantis, but it's normally 500 dirham. This brunch is incredible. Honestly, there's people walking around in fancy dress. There's themed drink stations. You can get a whole watermelon, cut it open, and they pour alcohol in for you. The food is amazing. You can get steak, you can get lobster. You really understand why it costs 500 dirham or £100 for 4 or 5 hours of drinking and food. In Dubai, you can do anything on a budget, and you can find a brunch for as little as 100 dirham. You just need to have a look. But yeah, if you haven't been to a brunch in Dubai, get yourself to a brunch. That's definitely one of the things to do if you're out here. Also, while we're talking about alcohol, getting an alcohol license now is super easy. You rock up to one of these alcohol shops, such as MMI or African and Eastern. You pay them, I think it's about 300 dirham, 60 pounds, and then you can buy alcohol for the whole year with no issue. Technically, if you're drinking anywhere, you should have an alcohol license. You guys tell that it's summer again here in Dubai, and it's 50-degree heat, because I am sweating. So next up, I thought I'd talk a little bit about mobile packages. Now there's three main providers in the UAE, which is Etisalat, Do and Virgin. Now I've actually had experience with all three of them on short and long-term contracts, and overall I'm going to let you know my personal favorite. So my favorite is Virgin. I've been with them for about a year and a half, and I find them the best price point and also the best service. Now the Virgin service is actually provided by Do, so some people say that the signal isn't as good as Do, but in my experience I've had it everywhere and I've been really happy. Now the one thing I love about Virgin is actually the app. Now Etisalat and Do also do have an app, but the Virgin one just seems to work the best. Now the best thing about Virgin is you can pay a year up front, which sounds like a lot to start with, but when doing a whole year they give you a 50% discount. So with my contract I get 200 minutes a month, 10 gigs of data, which they double to 20 gigs of data, and I don't get any international minutes because I don't need them. Now for this, it would have cost me over 2,000 dirham for the year, so about 400 pounds. But because I pay for a whole year straight away, I got it for just over 1,000 dirham, 200 pounds. You divide that by 10 months, it's under 20 pounds a month. It's amazing. Now you have to make sure you pick the right package because the add-ons can be quite costly. When I need to add more data, if I run out, it can cost 25 dirham for a gigabyte, which is quite a lot. £5 for a gig, not great. But if you pick the right package for you at the start, you are definitely going to win. Also, doing it this way, you save so much money compared to Etisalat and Do. I would pick them every time. Now, if you want to pay month to month, they're still very reasonable and very competitive compared to the other places, but definitely check out the app. And if you're planning on staying here a long time, look at what they can offer. They also do a 6-month deal, which I think you get about 30% off instead of 50% off, which is still great. If you're here for a short-term contract or something, you pay that one chunk of money up front at one time, and you've got great service across the UAE. In terms of phone contracts that aren't just a SIM, I don't have too much experience with, but some of my friends have said that Do is better than Etisalat in terms of getting an iPhone along with your SIM card. I don't know the exact price points of those, but what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description for Do, Etisalat and Virgin. You can check them out and make your own decision. But I highly recommend paying for Virgin for a year up front, save a load of money and enjoy. Back to the cost of cars, there's also a point to talk about fines. Now, fines can add up, but you don't necessarily need to pay them straight away. Normal speeding fines are about 600 dirhams, so about 120 pounds. A lot of money. Don't get speeding fines. But if you do get speeding fines, you don't have to pay them until you renew your car, which you do once a year. If you do leave it, if you wait until special times of year, such as Eid or Ramadan, sometimes they do a sale. Like this year, we got 50% off all fines. So if you do get fines, it might be worth waiting until there's a sale, which is a crazy thing, and paying then. If not, there's no rush, but as I said, do not get fines. So for the next section, let's talk a little bit about leisure and recreational activities that you might do. So as you know, Dubai is entertainment heavy. The number one source of income for Dubai is not oil and gas anymore, it's actually tourism. So this place is really geared towards having a good time, which does come at a price. Now, there's some things that are actually cheaper than England. There are everyday sort of activities, like a cinema visit, can actually be really cheap. Going to the cinema in England, I'd expect to spend about 15, 20 pounds by the time you get a ticket and drink and popcorn. Whereas here, your ticket is about 30 to 35 dirham for a standard seat, which is about 7 pounds. Popcorn, also large popcorn, 20 dirham, 4 pounds. Amazing. So some activities like that can be quite cheap. Now, it doesn't mean to say there isn't a premium option. Everything here, there seems to be a premium option where you can get a better seat or a better quality experience. Some places are worth it, some places aren't. It's kind of up to you to decide what you want from an experience. You've also got places like IMG World of Adventure, which is the world's largest indoor theme park. Tickets from that on standard are normally about 300 to 400 dirham, which is actually about 60 to 80 pounds. But everywhere always has offers here. I have been to IMG probably 2 or 3 times, and every time I go for 99 dirham. It seems to be 2 or 3 times a year they have some massive offer, whether it's for Dubai summer surprises or a special anniversary where they do a ticket for 100 dirham, £20. It is well worth it. Now you've also got cheaper places such as Global Village, where I used to work. Amazing, amazing, amazing. It's quality entertainment for free. All you do is you pay your 15 dirham entry fee. I don't work there anymore, so this isn't an advert. It's 15 dirham to get in, £3. You get to see all these amazing pavilions that have their own little markets inside, representing all the nations from basically across the world. And then you get amazing stage shows, stunt shows, kids shows. You have international characters like PJ Masks, Ben and Holly. You've got Trotter Beam from India. There's so much to do there. Okay, I'll stop talking about Global Village now. But it's definitely worth checking out for 15 dirham. You can get some amazing food. Also stuff like jet skiing, which you might want to do with your family if they come over. It can be anywhere from about 300 to 400 dirham from my experience, which is about 60 to 80 pounds. Very reasonable, similar price to what it would be in Europe for sort of half an hour, an hour. You do get some really good boat tours, which again, you can either pick a speedboat or a slow yacht. Like I mentioned earlier, there's things like the Entertainer where you pay a yearly fee and then you get buy one get one free on these activities, or a big discount, which is always well worth it. There's also Groupon, which you're probably familiar with in the UK. You can actually get some good deals on there to do anything from go-karting to these boats. Then there's also Cobone, which is basically a Groupon equivalent out here. They're very good for if you want to do some sort of staycation. They have very good hotel deals. All of these things, I'll leave a link in the description so you can actually have a look for yourself. You will never be short of activities to do here in Dubai. Along with that, there's always concerts. You have Coca-Cola Arena, you have the Etihad Arena, you have Do Arena, and then you have Media City Amphitheatre, which hosts Red Fest each year, which is like a big festival which had people like Stormzy, Machine Gun Kelly, Little Mix. There's been a whole host of people always coming out here. Now in terms of concerts, I'm a huge concert fan. Global Village is amazing for that. It's 15 dirham to get in and you get a concert included. I've done concerts with people like Liam Payne and Jason Derulo. Well, that was a lot of information to take in on some of the activities you can get up to here in Dubai. As I said, a lot of my content is travel vlogs where I go and try out some of these new experiences here in Dubai, or just general things I'm getting up to. There's always new stuff to do here and we're always doing some fun things, so make sure you subscribe, check out the other videos. I've got a really cool trip from Jordan coming up very soon. Also, don't forget, if you have any other questions, just leave them down in the comments below and I'll be sure to get back to you. I had loads of questions through my DMs on Instagram, whether it's my photography account at BradHPhotos or my personal account at Leader of No One. You can send me a message there or drop a comment. Also, I might do a follow-up video to this answering some of the questions you guys have, because I get questions all the time. I've got some trips to Abu Dhabi that I've shot and I just need to edit them, and there's a lot of cool content coming your way. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I will check you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.